All right, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Naples Vineyard. If you're a guest, we're glad you're here, and happy Mother's Day. I'm going to be doing something radically different today. Well, I don't know if it's radical, but for me it is. I'm going to be preaching with, actually, it's not really even going to be a whole lot of preaching, but I'm not going to use, I usually have, you guys follow along, and I usually have like 1 to 4 like points that you follow along, fill in the blanks, and I go through an outline. I don't memorize my scriptures, but I definitely have an outline, and I just felt like the Lord was saying we're in a worship series. So I'm putting that on hold for today, and I'm just going to be talking about the important, probably I'd say one of the most important jobs in the world, and that's being a mom, and what that consists of, what that takes from us. So I'm just going to share my heart. We're going to read a really cool Bible story, and I got a couple surprises for you. So before we get started, let's do this. Let's do, where's Ty? Ty, come on up here. The kids, the youth got together and they put a little poem together. I'm not sure if it's plagiarized or they wrote it, but either way, it's probably going to be great. But Ty's going to read it on the behalf of all the youth to the moms and grandmas and spiritual moms. Maybe you don't have a kid, but you could be a spiritual mom, and I'm sure you already do that. So he's going to read this to all of us.
A mother's love. A mother's love is something that no one can explain. It is made of deep devotion and sacrifice and pain. It's endless and unselfish, and enduring come what may, for nothing can destroy it or take that love away. It is patient and forgiving when all others are forsaken, and it never fails or falters, even though the heart is breaking. It believes beyond believing when the world comes around and condemns, and it glows with beauty of the rarest, brightest gems. It is far beyond defining, it defines all explanation, and it still remains a secret like the mysteries of creation. A many-splendored miracle man cannot understand, and another wondrous evidence of God's tender guiding hand.
So you guys actually are each going to get, Glory, you guys pass these out, Donna, and also you're going to get one of these for moms. So raise your hand real quick so they can give these out, and a ticket. You're going to get a ticket real quick. Listen, most of the time when you get a ticket, it's not a good thing, but this ticket is going to be, especially when you get a ticket going over 20 miles over the speed limit. That is a reckless driving ticket that costs a lot of money, I read. So, all right, so you guys are all going to get a ticket, and we are going to do a raffle. And, well, they pass those out. Take a ticket. But right now, I need 2 more I need 2 guys. Let's see, Zach and Chris. I know it was Zach and Chris. Will you go grab bags back there and pass them out? So instead of doing some type of, I went to the store and personally hand-picked out presents. And for each one of the moms, things that just moms love, little things moms love. So I put together, and I even made them pretty in the bag and stuff. So I just wanted to bless you guys this morning. So you're all going home with a present that has a lot of love and thought in it. And then one of you guys are going to go home when I pull the raffle ticket with something even better. A new car. And trust me, if I was getting a mama car, I would not get a minivan. I would get you a freaking top-down Porsche, Burn the minivans! Who came up with that crap? We got to drive around minivans. I mean, come on. Well, gosh, It's a great day. Did I ever tell you guys the story while they was passing those out? This is awesome. Every once in a while, God will throw a mom a nugget, and it's usually at the expense of the father. But it's up. He's the one who does it. So you just have to find it humorous. So when my husband and I lost everything, we went. I drove brand new vehicles always, and we got down to nothing. We lost it all, and so we scraped up a couple bucks. I think I might even dipped into my IRA or something. We had to get paid off. We had to get something that was paid off. We didn't have credit, and so we went shopping with our $2,500, and we got this. Oh man, this thing was brutal. It was a minivan because we had so many darn kids that we couldn't get anything compact. So we got this minivan. It was old. I mean, old school, tape cassette. It was bad. And it was rusted over, the paint job. So my dad and mom got together and listen, we know how hard this is for me to even be driving a really old vehicle. It was very humbling for me. We want to get a paint job for you. So they took it into the auto part body store, and I said, you know what I would love is a really dark red, like a wine color, real glossy, real pretty. And so my dad dropped it off, he paid for it, and so I went to go pick it up. I was so excited. I'm like, okay, this will be a little bit better, because it's a squeaky van too. That's just so embarrassing. Squeaky vans are the worst. Even I don't care what people think. You care when your vehicle squeaks to the level that I'm telling you, because before that, my best friend, who actually came all the way down from Cape Coral, Kelly Frazier's in the house, and Rich, Rich Frazier's on our council, but she had this, you don't come to a sermon, I'm going to call you out, so you should have stayed in Cape Coral. But we had this vehicle, we do our girls' night, once a month we go to a movie or something like that, and she used to pick us up, and I didn't have the heart to say, I would drive, but because she liked to drive, and her vehicle squeaked so loud, and it was so embarrassing. So I was thinking of buying her tent just so people wouldn't see me and her vehicle. I know that was horrible, but so we drove around you're trying to have a mom's night, you're trying to be cool, you got your glasses on, you're all done up, and you're riding around town So, I killed my mic. Test. Oh, you turned me down? I wanted the sound effect to be loud. Unbelievable. Thanks, Steve. I think I chipped my tooth, too. So, what was I saying? Oh, the van. Okay, so I went back. So it's a squeaky van anyway. So I went to go pick my new, deep wine color glossy van up, and I pull up. And they're like, yeah, here's your keys around back. Everything's paid for. So I go around back, and I'm like, my car's missing. And I'm like, oh, my dad set this whole thing up and got me a new car. I guarantee it. Because my van was missing. And I was like, oh, I almost started tearing up. I'm like, I just love my parents. They're so amazing. So I went back, and I was joke, my car's not there, and I was waiting for him to say, yeah, but here's your new car. And he's like, yeah, it is. It's, he walks me around back, and he's like, there's your van right there. And I was like, that can't be my van. And he's like, yeah. I said, that's freaking hot pink. I didn't get a hot pink van. And he's like, yeah, that's the color it comes out, because it mixed with, he goes into all this detail. I was like, you're going to repaint that, because I am not driving a hot pink minivan. And so we got in this big fight. I got my dad involved too. And, of course, he does the whole, honey, it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. I think it's kind of cool. This is the color of it. This is the color of it. So, mind you, at that time, we only had one vehicle. Now, my husband, he's a stud, baseball coach, he's, tattoos, tough guy. He has to drive up to his baseball practices with all of this color minivan Talk about humbling. So when I say I want to burn minivans, that is where it comes from. It has nothing to do with the message, just another painful mom thing. But now we're getting a little better. We have SUVs and stuff that are not so bad to drive. But what was my point? Oh, the raffle tickets. So Glory, come on up here. You got the cup and all the tickets. All right. And then Donna, go back and get our prize on the table back there. Okay, so I'm going to get, this prize is, don't peek. Wow, busted. I see you guys turning around trying to peek. Okay, I'm going to mix these up. Where'd Donna go? All right. All right, Ty, go grab that back there, the silver thing. Okay, here we go. You guys got your numbers? Ready? Okay, here we go. Drum roll, please. 3, 1, 6, 2, 0, 8. Callie Frazier! It's a setup. We did it on purpose. We did it on purpose. Here, it's every woman's dream. It's brand new, spanking brand new towels. It's every mother's dream. What happens to the towels? For the love of the Lord, what happens to the towels? And if you don't lose towels, how do they get the most gross stains on them? I don't even know where it comes from. I got to tell this story, and I know she's going to be embarrassed, but you know what? It's part of being a pastor's kid. So we're limited. We are limited on towels, and mind you, we have how many kids do we have right now? 5. Yeah, we have my house is always ransacked with children everywhere, and so we're always low on towels, and I don't know where they go. I think people steal them. I'm pretty sure, Danny, you have at least 10 of my towels. You and Lumi. And Casey, you have the other 10. I go to y'all's houses, and I see my towels over there. You don't get returned back to me. So anyways, so my daughter is in the bathroom, so we're always low on towels, and everyone's screaming when they get out of the shower. Get me a towel! I need a towel! Well, there's no clean ones, but they're not going to know if they're not clean because they use them one time and they throw them on the floor. So when they scream for a towel, I take a towel and I fold it up that I found in the dirty clothes or on someone's floor. So my oldest daughter was getting out of the shower and she screams, "There's never towels in this house. I need a towel." And I was like, and then I get like, why do I get guilty about that? Why is it my duty to make sure and provide all fresh towels for everyone in the house? I don't know. So I start going, oh my gosh, she doesn't have a towel. I got to get her a towel. I got to get her a towel. I'm like, why do we do that? I don't know. As moms, we just feel like everything's our fault. So I go in my son's room and I take and this was a little while ago. So I take a towel and I fold it up and I'm like, here, and I toss it into the bathroom. So she's got real long hair, so she's like drying her hair off, and yeah, it's coming. She's drying her hair off and her whole body, and then she's like, I hear this loud scream. All right, it might have been a couple bad words in it, I don't know, but she was like, "What the heck?" Started screaming. I thought, oh my gosh, something bad happened. So I ran into the bathroom and she's screaming. Apparently, my youngest son was learning how to wipe himself good, and so he decided, he had the sludge going on. So he decided to, listen, you can't find another church like this. He decided to wipe himself with the towel and then leave it on his floor. I had no clue. I picked it up and folded it and throwed it in. So she wiped in all of her hair, scrunched her hair with human feces smeared all over the towel. I can't make it up. It's a true story. She's screaming, and then somehow it all becomes my fault, and her whole body smells like doo-doo, and so it went on for days. She took 9 showers. It's like one of those mom stories. It's just, you can't make them up, and it's our life, and they say that, there's no greater joy than being a mom. There's no greater joy. I don't think moms say that. It's like a dad comment. There's no greater joy than being a mother. There's no greater joy. How about there's no greater sacrifice? Amen. That's really what it is. There's no greater sacrifice. And yeah, joy comes from sacrifice, but nobody really knows what they're signing up for being a mom. Nobody knows. And it is joyful. It has its moments, but it's a lot more sacrifice. It's a lot more of, sometimes I feel like if I could describe myself as a mom, and my 18-year-old just graduated, thank you, Jesus. I got one down, lots more to go. But I would describe myself, so I've been mothering for 18 years, and I guess the best visual picture I can give you sometimes when I'm trying to describe what motherhood is like is I wish if I could strap you up with cow udders onto the front of your stomach and tell you to walk around and have a bunch of people screaming to come sickle onto you. That is kind of like what motherhood is. Is that the word, sickle? Suckle, close. It's like it's everybody needs something from you. Everybody, it's just give me, I need your kissing boo-boos, your wiping butts, you're dealing with broken hearts, you're dealing with horrible decisions for their future, you're dealing with mean words that slice you to your core, you're dealing with fighting, you're dealing with chaperoning, you're dealing with caravanning, you're a taxi driver, you're a maid service, it's just an endless giving job. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And we aren't told enough, and I know, and some of us have the greatest husbands, but it's still an exhausting job. We don't know what we're getting. We know some of us planned on our pregnancies. Most of us didn't. They're kind of like, well, if it happens but even if you plan on your pregnancy, you have no clue what God's getting ready to give you. You have no clue because they come in all different shapes and sizes and they're all different and they're all just, their personalities are just so different and you got to love each one differently. You have to mold them and teach them and help them and nurture them and it's just a constant giving of yourself. You give of yourself, and one of the biggest things I think where we go wrong is that we don't fight enough for ourselves to be replenished. We don't take a good care of our souls because we're so busy taking care of everybody else. And so we go through this cycle of depletion. And then when you're at depletion mode, you sometimes you just want to give up. Sometimes you just want to throw in the towel with all the crap on it. You just want to, you're done. And then when you think you're done, and then grandkids come. And even though my parents say this is actually really mean, but they say it all the time. If they could have bypassed the kids and gone to grandkids, they would have done that. Maybe I'll feel the same way. I might feel the same way. But grandkids come along. And as a grandmother, it's almost, I would say, just as important as a mother, Because now you're recognizing your own child being depleted. You're knowing what that feels like. So you're stepping in and you're trying to help and you're trying to be there. And then all of a sudden you find yourself babysitting and taking care of and buying gifts and caring for them and teaching them. And you're doing it all over again. But it's a grandchild. It takes a village to raise a kid. And so you find yourself, you're not done. You're never done. You're never done nurturing as a mom. So I tried to find, I would say, hands down, there's a lot of incredible moms. Obviously, Mary, who birthed Jesus. I wouldn't, thank God I didn't have the responsibility of raising Jesus because he would not have turned out so well. I'm just saying. So, I wanted to find someone who is just an amazing mom. And the best part about this mom that we're getting ready to read about is that she was literally only a mom for a very brief time. before tragedy hit. So I want to read, we're going to be in 1 Kings, and I want to read a little bit about King Solomon because he plays an important role in this. So King Solomon is the king on duty, and we're going to pick up in verse 1. No, I'm going to skip down. Let's go to verse 5. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon during the night in a dream, and God said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." Solomon answered, "You have shown great kindness to your servant, my father David," remember King David, "because he was faithful to you and righteous and upright in heart. You have continued the great kindness to him and have given him a son to sit on the throne this very day." He's talking about himself. He says, "Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in this place of my father David, but I am only a little child." Nobody knows exactly how old he was, but he was young, whatever that means, anywhere from, they argue, 12 to 20, it doesn't matter. He's really talking about his maturity level to lead a lot of people. And he's humbly saying, I just don't think I have what it takes. It's there's no greater place when I hear someone go, "I don't have what it takes." I know you're in a good place when I'm pastoring people that go, "I just don't have what it takes." Dude, I will lead you up until your head is completely up high because you are exactly where God wants you. When you surrender. And Solomon had everything. He was so powerful. But he realized that he was inadequate. We have to realize that there's inadequacies, that we need help. And so Solomon's like, man, God said, ask anything. What if let's say he was 18, okay? At 18, and I said at 18, Brandon, how old are you? 19. I said, Brandon, ask anything. What is one thing, okay? You got one Aladdin wish left. What would you want? If you could have anything in this world, what's one thing you would want? Let's just be honest, Oh, you have not lived long enough to have an answer like that, to live forever. Gosh, exactly my point. Thank you so much. That is exactly at 18. To answer that question, at 18, if you would have asked me at 18, dude, I was just off. I was derailed, party city, nothing mattered besides party and money. And I would have picked something that was similar to that dumb answer right there. I'm kidding. It's almost my son-in-law, so I can joke with him like that. You can't change it. It's too late. Nope. No. Okay, what? Yeah, you said it wrong. She whispered it, and you still couldn't get it right. You still failed. All right, so here we go. Yeah, take an L on that one. So this is what he asked the Lord. He says, but he's reminding the Lord, I'm only a child. I don't know how to carry out my duties. That's the place you better get in. I don't know how to carry out my duties. Your servant is here among the people that you've chosen, a great people, too numerous to count or number. So here it comes, verse 9. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern the great people of yours? He's surrendering his ability to do anything without the Lord. That word discerning heart, that's the root of wisdom. He's asking for wisdom. I want to be wise, not in my own way and your way. None of us would have asked for that. And he gets it. He gets it. He's like, I need a discerning heart from you, Lord. I need wisdom to know what's wrong or right, not what I think is wrong or right. big difference. You don't know what's wrong and right. You only know what you've been trained and what you've learned and what has been given to you. That's why we're so broken, is because we were raised by parents that were broken and they were raised by parents that were broken. So the only real right and wrong you're going to ever know and can take to the bank is going to be wisdom from the Lord. And so Solomon asks, I want wisdom. I want a discerning heart. The Lord was so pleased with Solomon. This is what God said, since you have asked for this and not for long life. I didn't even realize that said that until just now.
You're bad for confidence.
Oh my gosh, that's great. That is so great. You can't even make this stuff up. Oh gosh. All right. Or wealth. It could have been worse. Or wealth for yourself. Nor have you asked for death of your enemies, but for discernment and administering justice. I'll do what you've asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor there ever will be. Moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for. I'll give you both riches and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings. And if you walk in my ways and obey my statutes and commands, as David your father did, I'll give you a long life. Then Solomon awoke and he realized it had been a dream. And he returns. And so he doesn't really know. It's not like he woke up and just like transformed into someone else. Like, so he's not even sure that he got what he asked for. So the first test comes along. The first test. And of course, the first test, if you were going to decide whether you had all the wisdom you asked for, I would do this exact same thing that God did. You want to know if you have wisdom? You get between a fight of two moms. You ever experienced a fight of two mothers over their child? Mama bear comes out, protector. Man, I have some friends that are pretty dainty friends, and they're like, they're very, I wouldn't pick them on my basketball team, I'll tell you that much. But when I've seen someone go after their kid, dude, I'm like, who are you? There's something that unleashes in us. Nobody messes with our kids. We get this warrior spirit. Nobody messes with our kids. And so he gets thrown. He's king on his throne. I don't even know how these two women, we're going to read the story, get to the king, because they're two prostitutes. They're two women that have horrendous reputations. They've been basically tossed out of society. They have to give their souls to survive in life. Back in that day, you could still be kind of like functioning in life as a prostitute here, but back then, they were detested. They were like lepers. So these two prostitutes somehow make their way into the throne of the king for this dispute that happens. Let's go into, if you guys are following along, let's go into verse 16. Now 2 prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. One of them said, "My lord, this woman and I live in the same house. I had a baby while she was there with me. The 3rd day after my child was born, this woman also had a baby." So their babies were like 3 days apart. They both had babies. We were alone. There's no other kids in the house. There's no husbands. There's no boyfriends. It was just them in the house. During the night, this woman's son died because she laid on him. So she got up in the middle of the night, took my son from my side while I, your servant, was asleep, and she put him by her breast and put her dead son by my breast. The next morning I got up to nurse my son, and he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning light, I saw that it wasn't the son I had born. The other woman said, "No, the living one is my son. The dead one's yours. You're lying." But the first one insisted, "No, the dead one is yours. The living one is mine." And so they argued before the king. So they're having this argument, and they're both convincing the king. They're trying their hardest to convince the king that the one dead baby is laying on the floor, and they have one alive baby. And they're both swearing that the child is theirs, convincingly saying that the child is theirs. They don't have DNA testing back then. It wasn't, we're in a different culture. It wasn't easy. You're thinking, well, I would have done this, I would have done this. There's really nothing that the king could have done to prove. If there was someone in the house, maybe if there's no lie detector tests, there's no attorneys, his hands were tied. And this is what God brings him. His first ruling he has to do. His first time to see what really a discerning heart is all about. So in these moms, you got to know their desperation. The one mom knows the truth. One of them killed the baby. So even though she's fighting for the alive child inside, you got to know she's hurting. She's in pain. She just accidentally murdered her child. There can't be any worse thing, I can't even imagine. Rolling over and smothering your kid and your baby. It's all she had, both of them. This child is all any good in their life. They were banking on this baby. They had nothing. They had to hate who they were. They were selling their body. They had nothing. And then finally, they get this greatest gift. The greatest gift, this child where they can finally start finding their identity in. Because we do that. We find our identity in our children. And it's such a trap because they're not yours to find your identity in. They're not. But we get caught up in finding our identity, and that works great when they're doing amazing. But there's going to be a day that comes where they're going to fail because we don't learn and we don't mature and we don't grow unless we fail. So they're going to fail and they're going to take a wrong path, maybe a different path than you planned, and whatever the case is. And you have to know that that's not your identity. Your identity can only be the Lord. So we got two moms. One took her less than 3 days and her whole life and world. And her identity was in the baby. So let's see what happens. So they're going back and forth in front of the king. Verse 23, the king said, "This one says, my son is alive and your son is dead. Well, that one says, no, your son's dead and mine is alive." Then the king said, "Bring me a sword." So they brought a sword for the king. He then gave an order, "Cut the baby in two and give half to one and half to the other." This is not it wasn't like a joke. That's what happened a lot. I mean, back then, to sacrifice your baby wouldn't be a stretch in those cultures. So this isn't something he's joking around about. He's dead serious. Then the king said, "Bring me the sword." So they brought the sword for the king. He gave an order to cut the baby in half. Verse 26, the woman whose son was alive was filled with compassion for her son and said to the king, "Please wait, my lord. Give her the living baby. Don't kill him." But the other said, "Neither I nor you shall have him. Cut him in half." Verse 27, the king gave his ruling. Give this little, living, beautiful bundle of joy to the first woman. Do not kill him because she is the mom. When all of Israel heard the verdict the king had given, they held the king in awe because they saw the wisdom from God being administered. So, two things happen. One, Solomon is now fully aware that the thing he asked for, the big request, God gave him because it matched the heart of the Father. And some of us have stopped asking. What have you stopped asking? Start asking God for things and believing and expecting them. But make sure they line up. They line up with him. They line up with his heart. And then what I really want to talk about is this mom. He knew that this had to be the mom because if I could define motherhood, it would be sacrifice. And this woman would sacrifice the rest of, this is all she had, this baby. And she knew it was her baby. And she's willing to give the baby up to protect her child so he can have a fulfilled life and live. And being a mom is a really, 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 really big sacrifice for a long, 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 long time. And it's so void of thank yous. It's so void. It's so void of thank yous. It's so void of replenishing. It's void of so much. And without mothers in this world, you guys, you were mothered. You're here because you had a mom. And I know that you'll never understand how much goes into being a mom. You'll never get it. But if you can just try your hardest to think about dying to yourself over and over and over and over and over again, you'll get a little small taste